Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Mrs. Anand, retired professor from NISCARE CSIR. I'll be speaking on module on reference interview and search techniques of the paper on information sources, systems and services. After studying this module, you'll be able to conduct a successful reference interview, categorize the type of queries received from the users, know basic search techniques to find answers to these queries, search information sources to find answers, and provide requisite information and answers to the user's satisfaction. Well, reference interview is a conversation between a user who is in need of information and a librarian who assists in finding the required information. A reference interview may be conducted in person, that is face to face, by telephone, or electronically, such as via email, live chat, instant messages, or SMS, or other electronic means as requested by the user. Reference interview is in fact an intermediate step between the library user's query and ideal resources which provide answers to the query. Reference interview helps to know the query thoroughly, the purpose for which information is needed, background of the user, what information sources users have already collected, and the type and amount of information required. Although librarians should learn the basic elements of good reference interview, they must recognize the fact that these steps may require to be modified to match each situation. In fact, the reference interview is more like an art than a science. It is an ever-changing practice that requires responsiveness to the context rather than the application of predetermined sets of steps. In the subsequent section, you will learn how to conduct a reference interview and basic search techniques that provide answers to users' queries. Stages of reference interview. When conducted in person, there are 6 stages of reference interview. Stage 1, establishing rapport with the user. Stage 2, discussing and clarifying the question. Stage 3, developing a strategy for successful search. Stage 4, finding and evaluating information. Stage 5, follow-up. Stage 6, closing the interview. Let's study what each stage comprises for a successful interview. Stages of reference interview. Stage 1, establishing rapport with the user. To establish rapport with the user, the librarian should possess certain desirable attributes like he or she should be approachable, courteous, show keen interest in users' queries, possess good communication skill, and be efficient in searching. To be approachable, librarian should be visible at the point of user's needs. He or she should not pretend to be busy when user approaches him or her. He should be poised, acknowledge user's presence, and make user feel comfortable by greeting and talking to the user in friendly manner. Such gestures help the librarian to establish rapport with the user, put the user at ease, and make him or her feel that help is available here. Stage 2, discussing and clarifying the question. Once a dialogue has started, the librarian should interact with the user and clarify the question posed by the user. First and foremost activity is to repeat the question to ensure that the question posed by the user is the same as understood by the librarian. Then the reason for which information is sought and what user has already done about it is to be inquired. Depending upon user's response, the search strategy can be worked out. It is often observed that the first question by the user does not describe what the user really wants. Here the librarian must ask open-ended questions so that the user comes out with specific answers instead of yes or no. Open-ended questions give user a chance to express their information requirement in their own words. Librarian should continue with clarifying questions until it becomes clear what user really wants. At times, librarian has to rephrase the question to ensure that librarian has really understood the question. Here, knowing user's background is equally important because the reference question posed may be the same, but the sources to be searched may be different for different categories of user. For example, if a user wants information on blood cancer, then information required by a student, a professional, a researcher, a patient, or parents of a patient may be different. A student may need information for project work for which an encyclopedia article or book may serve the purpose. A professional, that is a doctor, may need the information for the treatment of his patients, and then a database such as PubMed may have to be searched. Researcher may be requiring information for latest articles on the subject for further research, and then databases such as Medline or PubMed may have to be searched to provide required information. Parents or patients may require information on how to cope up with the problem, for which a booklet from the Health Services Department may serve the purpose. Stage 3. Developing a strategy for successful search. Once the subject requirements of the user are clear, the librarian constitutes the search terms and identifies most appropriate sources for the user. If the query is about a specialized subject area with which librarian is not very much familiar, then there is no harm in seeking clarification from the user and consulting a subject dictionary or encyclopedia to get clear idea of the subject and its terminology. During the process of selecting search terms and identifying appropriate sources, the librarian should be in communication with the user to ensure that the librarian is proceeding in the right direction. Stage 4. Finding and evaluating information. Actual search is carried out at this stage and search results are shown to the user. During the search process, the librarian should be in touch with the user to show the search results and find out if these are meeting his information requirements. This process should continue till user gets the required information or has sources to examine. In case user is not very much familiar with the use of identified resources, appropriate instructions should be provided to the user in the use of those resources. At the same time, attention should be paid to the quality of information by selecting high quality sources. This can be done by using guidelines for the selection of reference material itself by the reference librarian. Once answer to the question is located, explain the user search strategy followed, names of the sources used to find the answer, so that user can learn to find answers to similar questions on his or her own in future. Also inquire from the user if additional information is required. This will encourage the user to state what more information he or she wants. Stage 5. Follow-up. Follow-up in the reference interview is essential, as it helps to know whether information requirement of the user has been met or not. If user query has not been answered to the user's satisfaction, then revise the search terms or try other sources. Work with the user to narrow or broaden the topic when too much or too little information is identified. In case sources as well as experts are not available in the library, refer the user to other sources or institutions as deemed essential. Do not end the reference interview abruptly. It is librarian's responsibility to find out if user is satisfied with the research results, and if not, then referring him to other sources, experts or institutions. Thus, the overall purpose of the follow-up is to ensure that good service is provided by the library and user is motivated to come back again when in need. Stage 6. Closing the interview. Interview should be closed on a positive note. In case further information is required by the user, the librarian should give him or her specific time frame to contact. In case of referral, the librarian should take an appointment with the concerned institution or expert and inform the user accordingly. For this, librarian should take the name and contact details of the individual and give him or her contact details so that the user may be able to contact the librarian. Reference interview conducted remotely. Reference interview conducted remotely is via email, chat, instant messaging, and SMS. And this type of interview is not much different from reference interview conducted in person. The only difference is that the librarian cannot judge whether he or she is communicating well with the user, since he cannot see the user's facial expression. Reference service by email has been offered by the libraries since mid-90s. Reference interview via email is in the form of a well-designed form which user has to fill to provide essential details of the query. As all the essential details are with the librarian, it becomes easy to search and provide answers. Although email reference is slow, it is advantageous for the librarian as it gives him or her more time to research and provide better response. Reference interview in chat, instant messaging, and SMS reference is conducted in real time. Here, immediate response is required to be provided to the user. As short messages are exchanged to and fro, librarian should immediately greet the user, acknowledge the receipt of the question, then inquire the purpose for which information is needed. Rephrase the question to ensure that the question asked is understood. Once the query is clear, the librarian should provide the answer. It has been observed that the kind of questions handled by this mode are usually of ready reference type, or others requiring short answers. Specific search and research type of queries cannot be handled by this mode. As questions and answers are short, the librarian may not have contact information for the follow-up. It is therefore recommended that the librarian should try to get an email address of the user if they want to do the follow-up, or encourage the users to come to the library. Search strategy. Based on the type of question, the search strategy is worked out. Time required in searching and finding the answer also varies with the type of question. In simple terms, the search is an effort to translate the user's query into keywords as acceptable by given reference sources and finding the answer. The query is first analyzed and clarified via the reference interview. From this, one determines the type of question asked, the parameters to be established, that is, the purpose, scope, time span, amount of material, level of material, etc. required, and the sources or systems where the necessary information is likely to be found. Types of questions. Most of the questions received by the library can be broadly categorized into 5 categories: directional type, procedural type, ready reference type, specific search type, and research type. Directional type of questions are received from the library users who visit the library for the first time. Such users need directional guidance about the general layout of the library, such as where current issues and back issues of periodicals are kept, where the reference collection or textbooks are kept, or where is the card catalog or OPAC for searching library holdings, etc. Such directional type of queries do not require any search. On an average, a library receives about 10% of directional type of questions. And these questions can be handled by non-professional staff as well. Questions pertaining to the rules and regulation of the library for members, policies and procedures within the library, or holding information, etc., are procedural type of queries and do not require any search. About 10% of the questions received by a library are of procedural type of questions. Ready reference type of questions are fact-finding questions which require a single, uncomplicated, straightforward answer. These questions are about finding quick facts about dates, persons, places, and statistics like the question. These questions are about finding quick facts about dates, persons, places, and statistics and like. These are questions such as what is the capital of Zimbabwe, Who was the first president of America? When will the next solar eclipse occur? What is the per capita income of India? How many newspapers are published in India? Etc. These types of questions come under ready reference type of queries. The answer can be located in standard reference books like dictionaries, encyclopedias, ready reference sources, etc. The time required to answer such questions range from 2 to 10 minutes. It is observed that on an average, a library receives about 30 to 40% queries as ready reference type questions, which can be answered from ready reference sources. The actual percentage may vary with the size and type of library. Specific search and research type of question. Specific search type of questions are those type of questions which require searching the literature for specific topic. The questions like I have to write a paper on breeding and rearing of horses, where can I find the information? Or I have to make a comparative study of socialism and communism, where can I find the information? These are specific type of questions which require searching the literature on specific topic. Research type of queries are from the researchers or professionals who require in-depth information on a particular topic relating to research or for solving some research problem, etc. Such queries require in-depth searching of formal as well as informal sources of information to find the answer. Search process. The queries relating to specific search and research type, including more difficult ready reference type, require searching in secondary tools like bibliographies, indexes, catalogs, and databases to find the requisite sources containing the answer. Here, the actual search strategy as well as possible sources have to be worked out. Time taken to answer these questions also varies depending upon the type of questions asked. In case of specific search type of queries, the answers are likely to be available in books or other material on the subject or topic. For this, library catalog, bibliographies, indexes, etc. are searched to find books or other material on the subject. Here, librarians must determine the likely subject headings, keywords, etc. to carry out search, which are most appropriate for the search. During the search process, it is advisable to show the search results to the user so that the relevant material is selected and noted down. Once the search process is complete and relevant references are noted down, the next step is to locate the material in the library and deliver it to the user for perusal. Research types of queries require searching for the micro documents like periodical articles, conference papers, etc. For this, normally bibliographic databases are searched. Searching online databases. Presently, most of the indexing and abstracting periodicals are available in the form of electronic databases and are available on CD-ROM or can be searched online on the internet. 8 basic steps are required for searching online databases. In case of searching on CD-ROM, first 3 steps are not required. These steps are: Step 1, registration with the Internet Service Provider. Step 2, registration with database search service provider. Step 3, log on to the online search service provider. Step 4, select the appropriate database. Step 5, formulate the search expression. Step 6, search and examine the search results. Step 7, reformulate the search expression if required. And step 8, select and save or print the relevant records. Searching online databases. The library requires internet connection. To get internet connection, one has to register with internet service providers like BSNL, MTNL, or others. These internet service providers offer internet-related services from dial-up internet access to broadband access services. The charges for internet connection vary with the type of connection required. Once registered, the library gets a user ID and password to access the internet. Registration with database search service provider. In addition to internet connection, one needs to register with online search service providers, which provide access to databases for searching. Online search service provider may be a vendor or an aggregator like EBSCO, ProQuest, Emerald, or others, which provide access to a number of bibliographic or full-text databases from different publishers. Or a publisher himself providing internet access to its own databases for online searching like H.W. Wilson and Company, Chemical Abstract Service, etc. On registration with online search service provider, the library gets a user ID and a password. Log on to the online search service provider. This is usually done through the web interface of online search service provider. At this stage, one should know the web address of the search service provider. For example, for EBSCO, it is ebsco.com. To access and search the database, one has to enter user ID and password. Most of the vendors offer online registration as well. Select the appropriate database. Next step is to select the appropriate database to search. Most of the online search service providers allow users to browse through their database categories to select the appropriate database. The aggregator like EBSCO makes available full text and bibliographic databases according to user category and institutions, like sources for college and university level, for hospitals, for medical institutions, for government institutions, for corporations, for schools and public libraries, etc. EBSCO provides access to 370 full text and bibliographic databases. Formulate the search expression. This step requires selection of appropriate terms or phrases for searching the database. This is normally done during the reference interview. In computer-based search, the user is asked to fill a form in which search question is stated. User is asked to write a paragraph on the search topic, give purpose of the search, and list one or two references and names of important people and institutions in the field. All this information helps to know the exact information requirements of the user and helps in selection of suitable keywords for searching the database. Then keywords and synonyms of searching are listed. Many bibliographic databases have their own specialized vocabulary, that is thesaurus, for searching the database. The thesaurus is usually available online and one can select appropriate terms and phrases from this for searching the database. Once search expression is formulated, then actual online search is conducted. Search and examine the search result. When the search string is entered into the system, the database starts displaying the results. The librarian should check the results in user's presence to ensure that only relevant references are selected from the displayed list. If user is satisfied with the results, then the list is printed and given to the user. If linkages are available from bibliographical references to full-text journal articles, then relevant articles should be printed online and given to the user. Searching bibliographic databases. Step 7. Reformulate the search expression if required. Step 8. Select and save or print the relevant record. Reformulate the search. If user is not satisfied with the search results, the librarian should reformulate search expression. Online search is usually a repetitive process where user conducts several searches, compares the results, and modifies the search statement or conducts a new search in order to get best results. So one can combine keywords using Boolean search operators like and, or, not. When search results are found to be satisfactory to the user, the relevant records should be printed and given to the user. If linkages are available from bibliographic databases to the full-text journals, then relevant articles should be printed online and given to the user. Types of answers. Answers provided to the user may be in different form. Answer may be in the form of complete fact or data or information as provided in case of ready reference type of questions, or in the form of information sources like books, journals, magazines, journal articles, etc. containing the answers as provided in case of specific search type of questions, or in the form of bibliographical references to the sources containing the answers as provided in response to research type of queries. Answers provided to the user can be of different types and provide various level of utilities for the user. For example, an answer may be elementary, skilled, or value added. Though all the answers are helpful to the user, value added answers provide highest level of utility for the user and saves the time of the user. Value addition can be done by providing original sources instead of providing only bibliographical references to the questions. When there are several relevant sources to the question, then librarian can point out which one are most suitable to begin with, as they contain the most relevant information and are from the reputed publishers. Similarly, librarian can explain to the user about the suitability of a particular website or a database for search. When value addition is not possible due to time constraints, the librarian can provide skilled answers. To provide skilled answers, the right sources are located, sifted, and judged so that only the best sources are selected for research consumption. To sum up, in this module, we have studied how to conduct a successful reference interview and carry out search so that answers to the user's questions are provided. Reference interview is a conversation between a user who is in need of information and the librarian who assists in finding required information. Reference interview helps to know the query thoroughly, the purpose for which information is required, and how much information is required, time frame within which information is required, background of the user, and what information user has already collected. Based on the type of question, the search strategy can be worked out. The questions can be categorized into 5 categories: directional type of questions, procedural type of questions, ready reference type of questions, specific search type of questions, and research type of questions. The directional and procedural types of questions do not require searching to provide answers. A ready reference type of questions require searching in standard reference books, and answers can be provided within 5 to 10 minutes. Specific search and research type of questions require searching in secondary tools like bibliographies, catalogs, indexes, and databases. Whenever you are searching, user satisfaction should be always kept in mind. And even while conducting reference interview, it should be always kept in mind that user is satisfied. And to achieve this, librarian should be receptive and cordial, search information sources with or for the user, provide the requisite sources, inquire from the user if he or she is satisfied with the answer, and can encourage the user to come back again if in need. We do hope that you have grasped the information content of this module. Thank you very much.